Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Childress.
DJ Khaled, you not a big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Tasker.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jarrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 after dark.
Hello, and welcome in to another edition of Field of 68 After Dark. I'm John Martin. I am joined tonight by my guys, Randolph Childress and Matt McCall. I know it's a Thursday night. I know it's not a night that is typically, perceived as a super busy night in college basketball typically, but we still had plenty of fireworks on this Thursday night. So we had a lot to get to, including a top 10 team going down, a top 10 team making history, the wrong side of history. So we'll get into that on the show tonight. Okay, let's get it cracking. Illinois just went final. Number 14 ranked Illinois just got their first road win without Terrence Shannon Jr., 88-73. I think there's two components to this one, fellas. And our man RC is just he's a statue, man. He is just locked in right now.
He's locked in. He's locked in on a final score. He's locked in.
That stance is incredibly impressive. But there's two components to this, Matt. We'll start with the winning component, which is Illinois finding a way to handle business, quite frankly, without Terrence Shannon Jr. on the road. What did you make of this win tonight for them, and maybe what kind of statement it is for them without TSJ?
Well, I think, John, it's a big statement. For one, to be able to go on the road, and Michigan's coming off a big win, and they know Dougie McDaniel's playing because he gets to play home games. We're still trying to figure out why he only gets to play home games when he's suspended and can't play on the road. So, Illinois had to prepare for Dougie McDaniel being in the lineup, and they're coming off that big win against Ohio State. So I think it's a huge win for Illinois in the sense of, two, we're still trying to figure out, look, Purdue's one. Who's going to step up and be two? Who's in that next tier? And we could put a number of teams in that category. It's been Wisconsin, but we saw them lose the other night on the road to Penn State. Is it Northwestern, who's coming off a big win? Is it Illinois? Like, who's going to be that team that rises to the top of the standings? Because Purdue's the clear-cut favorite. So I thought this was big. I thought it was huge for Illinois. Didn't shoot it great from the perimeter, 33%, 6 of 18 from behind the line. But they found a way to win. And in this league, finding ways to win on the road is going to be the most important thing as we inch towards February and March, because road wins are hard to come by. I don't care what conference you're playing in. But this was big. And, Doug McDaniel, he was out there. He started the game, had 14 points, shot 18 field goals. But I think they got to go on the road the next game. So, the next coach has got to prepare without him being in the lineup.
It's a crazy situation, man. RC, why would Michigan season weird as hell, right? Like season 5 of Stranger Things, bro. We're gonna get all the kids from Hawkins in there. It's weird as hell. And this Doug McDaniels and the way they're in, why not just as a coaching staff, knowing he's one of, if not your best player, why not just get that out of the way so you can move forward and get that suspension put behind you completely?
I don't know. I've never seen this or heard of this before, and I don't know anyone that has. So when we find out, I'm hoping for a better explanation from everyone. I mean, I hadn't heard anything. So Matt and I were talking about it before, and I asked him had he ever heard of it. He said no. So I've never heard anything like that, because tutors travel. Any academic help you need, usually they travel with you. So who knows what this is about? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I don't understand it, but it's not for me to understand.
I don't know whose record this one goes on tonight, Jawan or Phil. I guess they'll argue about that on the
John.
bus.
John, let me ask you this. Is it 6 road games?
Yes, it's with 6 games, and he's not serving them at home. So I mean, it could be 6 games.
6th road game is at Northwestern on February 22nd. If I'm right, because he was suspended for the Maryland game at Maryland, and they lost.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the 6th road game is February 22nd.
Right.
That'll be his 6th game that he's suspended for.
Because nobody ever in the history of time has been suspended for just road games specifically. So it's just 6 games that they've decided to dole out as discipline. He or they or whoever is just choosing to serve it in this capacity.
Yeah, that takes him. We're almost to March by the time his suspension's over.
Yeah, I mean,
and think about this: if you're the opposing coach, and this is how I always was. Like when you hear news of someone being out, you're always like, nah, man, that's not true. He's gonna play. He turned his ankle, whatever it may be. And until you see them not out there on the floor warming up, you're like, okay, he's really out. He's really not playing. So if you're an opposing coach and Michigan's getting ready to play in your building, are you still preparing for him? I think you kind of have to, because you don't know. I mean, I thought there was no way he's going to start versus Ohio State at home. Like, there's no way they're suspending him and not taking him to Maryland and then turning around and starting him and playing 39 minutes versus Ohio State at home. But there he was. So it's like,
but they don't have a choice, Matt.
Game?
They don't have a choice.
I know, but RC at Purdue. If I'm Matt Painter, I think the guy's playing. I'm preparing for him to play at Purdue. I'm telling you right now, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's.
No, I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. I don't know. I've never heard of it.
I mean, RC,
at this level.
I was just going to say, how do you expect a program to be successful when you have head coaches substituting in and out whenever they feel like, the point guard serving a suspension on games that he feels like? I mean, they got beat by 15 at home, and Illinois didn't have their best player. You know, I mean, should we really be that surprised that Michigan looks like this when this is some of the, the circumstances of their season?
I mean, we've mentioned it before with Michigan. I don't think they're as talented as the other team. Their margin for error is just so small, and they have to play at almost their absolute best to beat a team like Illinois, even without their best player. This team is Illinois with their best player is competing for the Big Ten title, and they're gonna lose some games because of that. I mean, this is a damn good team. They're well coached. They're tough. They got dudes. They're just missing the first team All-American, and we just know they're never going to reach their potential. Or I don't believe they're going to reach their potential, which was winning the Big Ten potentially. Challenging Purdue, I'd say. I think I always had Purdue winning it. I thought Illinois had a chance to challenge Purdue. I don't give them that now, but they'll make the tournament. They'll play the way they play. They'll play tough. They'll defend. Damascus will be able to lead them in scoring. Hawkins has his moments. Rogers will do what he does. Like I said, they're a well-coached team. They're tough. But Michigan, I've said this before. When you don't have closers and you don't have guys and you're relying on guys that have been role players to lead a team like Michigan, I just don't see it this year. It's not. I don't believe they're as talented as everyone else thinks they are. I think they got good pieces, but they don't have a guy. They don't have that dude. And it's hard to win in Big Ten, ACC, or any Power 6 conference without a dude.
Matt, just lasting thought on this. Is it just a matter for Michigan then of, how low this goes at this point?
Yeah, John, I like when you look at Jawan Howard and his tenure and you look at everything that he's done in Sweet 16 and Elite 8, when you look at his coaching record, I don't think, and me and everybody on the field of 68 gives me a hard time because I always side with the coaches and I never like to put anybody on the hot seat. And Goodman always thinks I'm too positive. He calls me Mr. Positive. But I think if you're looking at the head coaching record of Jawan Howard and what he's done, Elite 8 Sweet 16, we're not talking about what he's done in between the lines. We're talking about all this other stuff. We're talking about the altercations and handshake lines, the incident with the strength coach, the Doug McDaniel, he's only suspended for road games. And there's just so much stuff that, on the outside looking in, we're just scratching our head saying, what the heck's going on here? So I don't know, how this season ends for them. I know they just won a national championship in football, and they're trying to figure out whether or not, Jim Harbaugh's coming back. I mean, he's interviewing for every single NFL job under the sun. So I know the athletic director's worried about whether or not he's coming back.
Just watch the championship game again. That's what I would do.
At some point, we got to sit down with Jawan Howard, if you're the AD at Michigan, and say, what are we doing? You're our guy. We want you to be our coach going forward, but we got to figure some of this stuff out.
Man, hopefully everybody's still just drunk from the champagne from 2 weeks ago, right? Like they still got a few of that left, a few bottles of that champagne left, and we're not quite focused on the basketball program just yet. I'll tell you how it ends, Matt. It's probably going to end with a declining of a CBI invitation. That's the way that thing is trending right now. Okay, before we get to the rest of the show, did want to hit Michigan State, while we're on the topic of the Big Ten. They did win double digits, 76-66. I don't know how you guys feel about Minnesota, but still, a lot of teams lost at home. Michigan State did not. RC, is this just going to be one of those patented Michigan State years? I mean, this was a top 5 team preseason. Is this going to be one of those patented Michigan State seasons that builds up steam to the end of the year? Is it going to be choppy yet? Like, what's your forecast for what you're seeing for Michigan State right now?
I know everyone at Michigan State must feel like every night I come on is when right after they play. Good win tonight. They took care of business at home, but my feelings hasn't changed. I don't see the magical run at the end of this season. I think this team will, like I said, I think the weight of the expectations of being a top 5 team limits them. They'll make the tournament. I'm not saying they're not going to make the tournament, but I've made the comparison in the past with the Carolina team of last year, meaning with the level of expectations. I just don't ever think they'll get back to that. I think that season is gone, and with their schedule, they'll finish right there in the middle, or top whatever 5 or 6 or however many teams get into the Big Ten tournament. I mean, NCAA from the Big Ten, they'll be one of those teams, but I don't expect them to make a run or get to the second weekend or anything like that.
Matt, are you as bored with Michigan State as RC sounds? I mean, you must just say the same thing.
I say, listen, you can play back. I feel like you can take what I said last time and just edit it and just put it back. Like,
just
it
put it
hasn't
back.
changed.
Yeah.
Just play. And listen, I'm gonna sit here, tell Dagan or tell Trevor just to play what I said last time and just retweet that. I can go back through my tweets and then find it.
Look,
I mean, I don't know what else to ask you about him, man.
The man's been to 25 straight NCAA tournaments. You think the committee's not going to let him go to 26? Like, come on, man. Like, he's going to be
No.
He's going to be in 20. No, and RC, I'm with you. Like, I think RC brings up a great point just in terms of the expectations, right? Like, comparing them to North Carolina. There's so many expectations placed on that team going into this season that's tough to deal with, and they haven't lived up to that. But, look, Joey Brackets has, I think, 7 teams from the Big Ten getting in the tournament, and there's no way that they keep Tom Izzo, which, who knows? We never, we never thought this would be Nick Saban's last year. He hung it up. But there's no way Nick Saban's not making his last season as an NCAA tournament berth, if, in fact, this is his last year, which maybe he coaches another year.
I didn't say they wouldn't make it. I'm just saying they're not preseason. We're talking Final Four.
Yep.
I'm saying they're not that. They're not Final Four. They're going to get in. I don't think they're even second weekend. They'll make the tournament. It's just not the year with the expectations of coming into this season. They're not that team.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You can never count out Tom Izzo in the tournament. It's just one of those things. Got a lot more to come here on the show, including just how far can one loss drop a team in the top 10. We're about to find out. Get to that when we get back. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 each and every week of the college basketball season. We have a special offer that will be available starting on Tuesday, January 9th and running through Monday, February 12th, the morning after Super Bowl 58. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, in honor of the big game, you can use the bonus code FIELD158 and you'll get $158 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD158. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive $158 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure that you use that bonus code FIELD158 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create separate accounts in each state. It's easy, it's simple, it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the heart of the college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odd boosts, and my favorite, a nice juicy parlay boost. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Field 158.
Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. I'm John Martin here with my guys, Matt McCall and Randolph Childress, talking all things college basketball here on a Thursday night. It was quite the result in Memphis in the AAC as number 10 ranked Memphis goes down to South Florida 74-73. If you've been paying attention to Memphis for the last month or so, they have been really tempting fate, playing with fire, so to speak. I think they were 9-0 previously, 9 games that were decided by 6 or fewer, and they were 9-0 in those games. Unfortunately, tonight, Jawan Howard had no magic left, and Memphis goes down 74-73. RC, I want to start with you. You've been in Memphis. You've seen this team up close and personal. First week in the top 10 this late in the season since John Calipari was on the sidelines. That ain't going to last very long. How devastating is this for Memphis and their resume moving forward?
I don't think I wouldn't use the word devastating. I think it's the concern we had. The only concern that I had with Memphis is what they're going to do when somebody plays them zone. It's no secret. 3-point shooting has been their kryptonite. So will they play a team like tonight? When South Florida went man, they were carving them up early. Mm-hmm. And then they started going to the zone. And then that's just what meant. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to line up with. They got too many bodies. They got too much talent, so much depth. They're going to wear teams down. I'm not concerned. But they're going to have to spend time working on their zone. They just can't walk into a gym and find out if it's making shots, because they're going to have to grind some games out like that. And more importantly, they're going to have to figure it out against the zone. And that was just all this game was. They were rolling along. Yep. The zone came in, the matchup just slowed everything down, made them play in a half court, and tried to make them shoot jump shots. And they just didn't make them. And like I said, that wasn't Memphis' strength from the jump. So I'm not going to use the word devastating to their resume. They're not going to fall by so much. They're still legit. I think we all believe in what they are. But every team has weaknesses. 3-point shooting is Memphis' weakness. They just couldn't. I thought they would be able to do better defensively and kind of jump, run and jump and create more turnovers. And kind of, they always seem to find that run in games like this. And tonight they just weren't able to do it. And just look at the last play. I don't know if it was Jordan. Somebody cut baseline. And if I'm them, I'm thinking the same thing. You hit 2 game winners. Jawan, take the shot. We run the ISO. We're not running the play. They want you to take that shot. And then, so that's one play. Then they come up on the next end of the floor, and 2 guys run to 1 guy, leave him wide open. They have to foul. So just mental errors at the end right there, stuff that they'll clean up and get back on. When you get on runs and you win, multiple games like this, it's hard to keep the kids locked in on that too. And so I'm not going to sit there and take anything away from Memphis. I think they're still ridiculously talented, but they do have a weakness, a glaring weakness, and it's 3-point shooting.
Well, Matt, let's talk about, the peril that is the AAC. And look, I know that you can you can look into it and you can say that there are teams that are probably better than the nation may perceive, but it is what it is ultimately when it comes to the reputation of the league. It's Memphis, it's FAU, and when you take a home loss, to a middle of the pack AAC team, I just wonder how punitive you think the committee might be, because the computers still are not there on Memphis either. The computers are way lagging the top 10 ranking. I mean, Ken Palm, you name it, 40s, 50s. So I guess when you talk about the perception of, and FAU is going to have the same problem, by the way, right? And we'll get to them. But when you play in a league where, if you're UCF or you're in the, the ACC or whoever, and you leave and you go to a league where you can knock somebody off on Tuesday, you could chase that bad loss with a top 25 team. You don't get those chances in the AAC. So, what does this take you from a 4 to a 7? I mean, just how bad do you think it is?
Well, it's so hard too, because you look at the way Penny's scheduled this year. Okay, played at Missouri, Michigan, Arkansas, Villanova, at Ole Miss, at VCU, at Texas A&M, Clemson, and Virginia, and Vanderbilt, okay, in the non-league. So you're talking about 10 Power 5 teams, and he's not being rewarded with that because of the numbers, because of the metrics, because he hasn't necessarily blown out teams, or Memphis hasn't necessarily blown out teams, which is – it's crazy to think about. Like, think about those 10 teams. Like, if you lined up that schedule before the season against a lot of other teams, like Texas A&M was picked to win the league. Nobody thought Arkansas would struggle the way that they've struggled this year. People were really high on Missouri, and they played them in their place. Played Michigan, Villanova, Ole Miss. I don't know if anybody had the expectations for Ole Miss, but still, it's Ole Miss, and it's on the road, and it's a rivalry game because the schools are too, very close. So it's just crazy to see their schedule and to see that they're still Ken Palm and the metrics and all these. They're not being rewarded for that. That's why sometimes these numbers, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But look, I think tonight's game, they score 112 points on the road at Wichita State. They come home and they're saying, hey, we're going to be okay. We're playing at home. We're playing against USF, who's not one of the better teams in the league. So we're going to be okay. And then all of a sudden, the ball's not going in. You find yourself in a dogfight. And guess what? Guess what these coaches in the league are doing? They're listening to what we're saying. And when we come on the field of 68 and we talk about that conference, we talk about two teams. We talk about FAU and we talk about Memphis. We don't talk about anybody else. So if I'm an opposing coach, I'm taking these clips and I'm showing my team to try and light a fire underneath my team. And that's what's happening. I mean, we're not even talking about North Texas. North Texas is undefeated. Charlotte's got an interim head coach right now, and they're 4-1 at the top of the standings in the league. So these two teams are getting everybody's best shot every single night. So when you go on the road and you score 112 points and you turn around and you come play at home against a team you think we're going to be okay against, you're going to get beat. And that's the parody of college basketball.
Last thing on Memphis when we get to FAU, because Penny had some very odd comments, RC, that I want to run by you. It was the largest blown lead by an AP top 10 team in 14 years. That was 20, I believe it was in the first half. But after the game, Penny said things along the lines of, everybody's so talkative when the game is going good. There's talking when the game is going bad. There's talking, and the negativity of the talk starts to weigh on the team. We're in the huddles, and instead of talking about the other team, we're trying to square things up between ourselves. It's become too much. He mentioned inner things. How disturbing is that to hear? Is it just one of those things where winning kind of hides all that, and then when it's as ugly as this, everything just kind of comes to the forefront? And what is the responsibility of Penny to figure this out?
I mean, what Penny's dealing with is what everyone is dealing with when you bring this many guys in. And listen, the one thing we know for a fact is he seems to have a really good pulse of this group. He's very honest with them. He tells them like it is. He's very direct with them, and this is common. I think a lot of people are still trying to figure their teams out. And then he adds a Mace at the end of the semester with Tomlin coming in there. Now you're trying to figure him out. And he loses, Caleb Mills, and he has to readjust his lineup to that. So he's still adjusting on the fly, trying to figure it out like everyone else is. But again, coming into the day, he was 15-2, and now he's 15-3 with that non-conference schedule. There's not 5 teams in the country that scheduled that, and I don't know if anyone scheduled it. I think Carolina's another one that scheduled a crazy non-conference schedule. Most of the teams aren't, and I think it's something that must be addressed because the narrative of what some of these teams are doing, like with the net and all this other stuff, it's a joke because when all we hear come March is quad 1 wins, quad 1 versus quad 2 and quad 3 and quad 4, but teams that let's pull up the net and start pulling up the net and look at the schedule of the teams at the top of the net. You're talking about they're getting rewarded for beating the brakes off teams, the bye games that they're supposed to beat them.
Right.
And then that's the formula that gets you, so that's the formula that gets you. So now we were sitting here joking about the Big Ten and everybody's just assuming they're going to get 7 or 8 or 9 teams in it. And you talk about the Pac-12, like if you're judging off the net, I'm wondering how are we going to field the tournament? Because all I hear is the Pac-12 and it's Arizona, it's Colorado, maybe Oregon, maybe 3 teams. Now you got the ACC. You're going to say what is Carolina, Duke, and maybe a 3rd or 4th team. The Big Ten, forget the projections. Like, where is all this coming from?
The whole system is flawed, RC.
That's my point. It's a joke
because small schools can't do that. I mean, schools like FAU, like they can't. They'd love to schedule nothing but bye games, but they don't get to have a shot at number 1 teams.
But my point is, my point is, Penny just did it.
Well, he did do it.
Penny just did it. So I'm not buying it. Penny can. So if
he's not being rewarded for it. He's not being rewarded for it.
And then you're telling he's not.
And he won those games too. I mean, he lost.
But not by enough. He lost not by enough.
Right?
Not by enough.
It's like the play-in tournament in the NBA, right?
Yeah. But you're not blowing out Power 5 conferences like that. You're not blowing those schools out.
Exactly.
He's 15-3 right now. Exactly. But when you look at where are they in the net?
And the last I checked, they were in the 40s or like low 40s. So 48, high 40s.
So there's 47. You telling me based on the numbers, there's 47 teams that are better than Memphis? No chance.
Hey, if there's a computer that's saying that shit's broken. If it's a computer that says that there's 47 teams better than Memphis, that shit got a glitch in it, man. Get rid of it.
It's like your internet in your hotel to start this show, RC. Whatever hotel you're in right now in Tallahassee, it's like the internet in your hotel, whatever hotel you're in Tallahassee, that is broken.
But this is true whether it's Memphis, whether it's Florida Atlantic. I mean, whether it's a team from the Mountain West. I mean, any team that's not in the Big Ten, the ACC, the SEC. Those teams have the luxury because they know come January, it's going to be nothing but beating up on each other, right? That's the Big 12. That's the way it goes. And if you're one of these teams like Memphis or Florida Atlantic or whoever, you only have 2 opportunities, maybe 3 once you get into your league play. So you can't just beat up on a bye team by 50 and hope the computers reward that, because I don't think they will.
Well, let's remember this too, John. Last year, who was in the Final Four? San Diego State and FAU.
Yep, exactly right.
Like, come on, man. Those are good teams. Like
numbers,
no, like come on, man. Like throw that out.
Yeah, I mean, it's more than just the net, right? It's more than just one thing that the committee has taken into consideration. But I do agree with RC completely that it feels like it's emphasizing the wrong things at times, and I think that's probably a net negative for college basketball in the end. All right, look, we got a lot to get to. It's a pretty damn good weekend of games we're going to go through, and we're going to pick some games this weekend here on the show. So do not miss that. We'll be back. You're watching Field of 68 After Dark. Back after this.
There is nothing in sports better than the heart of the college basketball season, which is why I need to tell you guys about our partners over at Rhythm. If you're into sports betting, you need Rhythm, the place for data-backed props and picks. For those that are unfamiliar, Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, is the go-to mobile app for player props and game picks. Backed by AI predictive models, Rhythm helps you make smarter and faster betting decisions across all sports, but particularly college hoops, where there are as many as 150 games a day during conference play, many of which have softer lines at BetMGM than you'll find in the NFL or the NBA. With Rhythm, you get data-backed picks for every Division I game every day. Users get free picks daily with the ability to upgrade to unlimited access. And for those of you already using modeling, you can build custom sports betting models within the Rhythm app itself. I am a Rhythm user, and I found that I've been a better when I focus on lines where my gut and Rhythm's modeling are aligned. When I think UConn can cover on the road against Butler and Rhythm backs that up, we fire. But Rhythm also helps lead you to plays that you didn't know you needed to make. Like, for example, when the data says bet the over in UMass Lowell versus New Hampshire because you have a 61% edge on that line, you bet the over and you bink. So if you want to increase your edge and win more bets, go to the link in the description below and download Rhythm today. That's RITHMM, the place for data-backed props and picks.
Welcome back to Field of 68 After Dark. Thanks to Rob holding it down. The network has expanded. I completely agree. You would think it is not, given how much airtime this guy gets during the breaks, but we have expanded, so never a bad thing to mix it up a little bit.
And he's got to cover those games in New York and Philly. He says that repeatedly. Got to cover those games. It makes it super easy when I got to cover those games in New York or Philly.
Facts, exactly
in
right.
Jersey.
Yes, but thank you, Rob. Thank you for your hard work here. Okay, fellas, we got some games this weekend. 5 pretty good ones, I would say. It's just January, so plenty of season left. But this is the point of the show where we pick games, and I'm told this is not against the spread. This is just picking straight up. I think I have that correct. Yeah, so this is not against the spread. So this is just pick a winner. That's all you have to do. Sure. I mean, if you want extra credit, yeah. If you want to look super smart, you can say I'll lay them for sure. However you guys want to handle it, up to you. RC, let's kick it off. Tennessee, Alabama. Tennessee's a 4-point favorite. Who do you like in this one?
I like Tennessee at home, and if I was to bet, I'm taking the under. I'm going under.
Wow,
I think Tennessee at home and taking the under.
A total, which is pretty high, 156.5. I agree totally, and I would have no issues whatsoever laying the 4 here. I think Tennessee's just a much better basketball team than Alabama, and I think that shows. So give me Tennessee and the 4.
Which is crazy because some people got Alabama winning the league, right? But if you watch,
some people smoke crack, Matt.
Tell them. Some people just need to say no, man. Just say no.
Exactly.
Some people need to say no. And this is hard because I'm a Gator alum. This is hard for me. It's hard to pick that orange, okay, as a Gator alum. But there's a man, his name is Dalton Connect. In my opinion, he's the best player in the SEC. He's a top 10 pick in the NBA draft. I got to take the Vols at home, Thompson-Boling Arena, one of the best environments in the SEC to play in. I think the Vols cover.
Now, is this like because you watch Monday Night Football or Thursday Night Football or whatever, and when all the analysts, now we're only 3, so it's a little different, but when all the analysts are on the same side, it's like that side has no prayer. Does that exist?
Yeah, it's like a jinx.
Yeah,
and NATO's tuning into the Field of 68 and screenshotting this and saying, "See, the 3 of these guys, they're against you. The whole world's against you. We got to go into Thompson-Boling and kick their ass."
That's right. That's right. I'm just
he can use me. He can use me as an example because I'm going orange here. I think the Vols will take care of business.
No, I think we're all on the right side. Okay, what's next? We've got UConn. I believe this is at Nova. UConn -2 after their win against Creighton at Gamble earlier in the week. RC, kick us off.
UConn's the number one team, and there is absolutely no way in hell I'm going for UConn and hear Rob's mouth and Hot Balls blowing me up on Twitter. Sewing with the Cats. I'm going with Villanova at home with the upset. So I ain't got to hear it no more. You heard it. I'm going with Nova.
But see, that's personal for you, right? That's not like
that's completely that's not his head picking. That's not his head picking. He's making this personal on that one.
You know, here's the reality. I understand the allure of Villanova at home getting points. I get it. But I watched every single minute of that Creighton game the other night, Klingen's return. And when he was in the game, Creighton couldn't do a damn thing. And that's true of really any team in college basketball that UConn has played when he's in the lineup. So he's in. If you're telling me the big fella's in there, I ain't fading UConn. I've lost so much money fading UConn with him in the game. I refuse to keep doing it. So I will go Huskies and the points -2, getting it done on the road. They're going to win it all again. That's how I feel. I'm sorry, RC.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. They're going to win this game. I think it's too early to predict if they're going to win it all. As someone that was a part of the back-to-back national championships, you know, you kind of always, do you want someone to do it again? Or do you kind of want to, does your ego get in the way of saying, no, we kind of just wanted to be a part of that? So I think it's a little bit too early to say if they're going to win it all, but I think they win this one. The big fella's back. He looked good. He was in there impacting the game. He was dancing at the end of the game. I think they were playing Miley Cyrus or Taylor Swift or someone in there. He had a smile on his face.
Yep.
Coach earlier had the boys ready to play. I thought the spread would be bigger. I got to take the Huskies in this one.
I'll say this, though. Dixon's ability to pull Klingen away from the basket will be huge.
Yeah, we'll see.
I know I'm just joking about everything else. I think Dixon's ability to stretch the floor and pull him away from the basket changes things. And how many teams have a guy that can do that is why I think it's just and it's coming off of, listen,
I mean, that's what it's got to be.
Grow wins are tough, man. Grow wins are just tough to do.
Tough.
You know, they're laying for it. You know, you just beat Creighton and it was dominating to be chokehold performance on them. I just think it's hard to do. I know UConn's good. I know they're damn good. And they got every chance of repeating again. But I think UConn is one of those teams, just like playing Florida State. Every now and then you play teams that's stylistically, they're just unique and they're different, and no one else plays that way. It's impossible to prepare for certain stuff, how they attend the way they play. And I'm going with Villanova at home.
That's your right, man. That's your right. All right, what else
is
we
our
got?
boy Fanta doing the game? Has he got the game? Fanta? Has he got the game?
We don't know.
Okay.
We do not know. I'm being told we do not know. So if when we find out, we'll pass it along, Matt. We don't have Fanta's assignments on our on our person here. All right, what's next? We have a few more, right? We have a few more games. All right, here we go. Creighton on the road at Seton Hall. What you think, RC?
I'm going with Seton Hall. After I saw that chokehold happen again, I think Shaheen got these guys just dogs, man. They're going to compete their ass off, and I like Seton Hall at home.
Yeah, I have Seton Hall and the under. How about that? You like that? That's way too high. This is going to be a physical game. It's going to be a physical game, and Creighton just disappoints me every time. I want to believe in them. I thought last night was a great spot for them, but they just disappoint me every time. And when those shots don't fall, they look gross. So there's no way I could take them in this game. I like Seton Hall and their physicality against Creighton.
I'm with you guys. I think Shaheen Holloway's got these guys playing at a high level, doing an unbelievable job. They went through a bunch of adversity last year. You know, Kadari Richmond, I mean, he is playing as good as any guard right now in the Big East. So I got to go with the Pirates, especially at home.
Okay, let's go to the Mountain West. San Diego State a 1-point favorite on the road at Boise State, which I believe just had their, home streak snapped. So they're looking to start a new one or just keep a new one going. What do you think, RC?
Whew, this was probably the toughest one for me. Both teams have won 4 of their last 5, and with San Diego State losing to Mexico and Boise State snapping their home streak against UNLV,
Yeah.
I don't see them losing twice. So I think Tyson Dagenhart and these boys gets it done at home, and I'm going Boise State.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I just feel like, in terms of the spot, you get up for that one. Boise State's a good team from what I've seen of them, and I haven't watched a ton of them this year, but from what I've seen, they're obviously well coached, and they run really good stuff. So I think they start a new one. I'll take the basically the pick 'em here +1. Give me that point in my pocket. Give me Boise State.
Yeah. I'm with RC just in terms of how look at that. Wow. Where'd you get that from?
The team chaplain for the football team gave this to me when they were in Memphis for the football game. They give it to a fan at every road game. They find one fan to give this rubber band to, and they gave it to me because I was so charming and funny. So, yeah. And I wear it it was a great gesture.
While you were rooting for Memphis against Boise State, they gave you the wristband.
I think I had Boise State in the points in that one, so it worked out.
Yeah, this one's tough. I mean, this was probably the hardest one of the night to pick. I think Boise State, just in terms of, coming off a loss, they were able to beat Colorado State at home, and Colorado State at one point in time, we had them ranked in the top 25. So I think they bounced back. I'll take them in this one as well.
And then, I feel like we agreed. Like, there's been like a consensus on a lot of these. Seton Hall is a consensus,
except Villanova, UConn.
Yeah. So 3 of 4 have been a consensus. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. We're gonna find out. And then finally, last game of the weekend, pick 'em: Miami and Syracuse. Syracuse -3, obviously at home.
Well, it's a bad thing for you guys because last time we did this, I hadn't got one wrong yet. So I look forward to keeping my streak going here. So,
okay.
Hey, I just had Miami yesterday, and I'm going to take Syracuse at home. They're just they're an explosive offensive team, but they're really limited in their depth. And I'm going to stick with the theme here, man. I just think it's so hard to win on the road. I like Syracuse at home. I just like Syracuse at home. I mean, Miami has some things to figure out. They've dropped 3 of their last 4, and they got a tough one in the head going into Syracuse, who's competitive and really, really good and tough to beat at home. So I'm going Cuse.
Yeah, it's a tough spot, man. I mean, and again, when you start getting into these, power leagues, there's no reprieve, right? I mean, nobody's going to feel sorry for you when you drop 3 of 4, and then you got to go on the road at Syracuse. I like some of the pieces for Miami, but I think at the house, I'm just going to roll with J.J. Starling and Judah Mintz in this one. I think they have enough to get it done. They're starting to play good basketball. A couple of really nice results here in a row. So I think they keep the good vibes going. I got Syracuse at home. I don't know if they cover the 3. I'm just going to take them straight up.
Well, you must have picked someone different earlier because Trevor's got you down.
Oh, did I? My bad. Did I change my mind? Damn it.
Come on, man.
My bad.
You can't be me when I flip my pick from Florida to Kentucky. Okay, because I was picking, or I might pick from Kentucky to Florida because I was picking with my heart. I should have picked with my head because Kentucky ended up winning the game. Come on. I'm going to go with the U. I just like the experience factor with Jim Larinaga. They've been up and down. They've shown they can score. When they can score points, they can beat anybody. I think Larinaga's got too much experience. He's going against a young head coach. I know he's been a coach for a lot of years, but he's a young head coach in terms of that job. So I'll take the Hurricanes.
All right, so there you have it. That's our weekend picks. It'll be a fun weekend. Jeff Goodman sat down with best in college basketball. Give you a preview when we get back. Field of 68 after dark.
What's going on, guys? Before we get back to the show, I need to let you all know about the Field of 68 Daily, an all-encompassing college basketball newsletter that arrives in your inbox, you guessed it, daily. For less than $1 a week, you'll wake up every morning to more than 1,500 words detailing everything that you need to know to stay up to date on the world of college basketball. From the notable mid-major upsets to the stars that are out injured to the breakout performances that only our team of college basketball junkies watched. The Daily is edited and produced by Mike Miller, who spent more than 2 decades running NBC's digital written content, and is subscribed by more than half of the Division I coaching staffs, the biggest names in college basketball media, and the agents that work as power brokers in the sport. For just $50 for the year, you get access to the same information that the insiders get. And before we get you back to your regularly scheduled Field of 68 content, let me tell you guys about the Field of 68 merch store. Head over to fieldof68.shop for officially branded Field of 68 apparel. Whether you're supporting your favorite team in the student section or from the couch, there is no better way to gear up than the latest from the Field of 68. The best thing I can say about our merch is the quality of the product. Anyone that has ever worn a t-shirt knows how frustrating it is when the neck gets all stretched out and the bottom of the shirt starts looking like the bottom of bell-bottom jeans. And there's nothing worse than a hoodie that loses its snugness that makes it such a perfect way to stay warm during the cold winter weather. Whether you're shopping for yourself or for the college basketball fan in your life, everything you need is at the fieldof68.shop.
All right, welcome back to the Field of 68. Our friend Jeff Goodman sat down with 2 of the best in college basketball in Armando Bacot and Hunter Dickinson. But before we give you a preview of that, which is going to air tomorrow at noon, got to tell you about Vaulted. See, the beauty of picking 2 teams in one game is that I'm guaranteed to be right. Okay, so like whether Miami or Syracuse wins, like it doesn't matter. I'm going to be right on one of those. But Vaulted is an app that allows you to participate in daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. It's the place for you to store your own predictions forever. And by using the Vaulted Challenge feature, you can prove you're smarter than your friends. Go download the Vaulted app, spelled VLTED, to challenge your friends, store your predictions, and join daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. My Vaulted challenge for tonight is one of Miami or Syracuse is going to win on Saturday. I mean, that's you just and here's one from Rob, slightly more bold than mine. He's got UConn repeating in the NCAA tournament, which is RC's favorite prediction of the year, right there on Vaulted. There it is.
They very well can. The best thing about it for me is I would look forward to hanging out with their fans again. That was probably the best thing to happen. Being in the Final Four with them. But I don't want to sit near Rob. I can't deal with Rob and the Huskies. I just can't. I was there at the Big East tournament and he beat the living crap out of me, sitting next to me, hitting me, talking about it. I'm good. I can't. They won last year. Give me a break.
Yep. Well, here you go. Number 1 in the country. No reprieve yet for RC. All right. Without further ado, again, this is going to air the.
Hey, John, before you play the video, though, you told one lie. I got to correct you on. You said Jeff Goodman. We're friends with Jeff Goodman. Jeff Goodman has no friends. Jeff doesn't have no friends. So we're going. Don't stop telling. We don't lie to the people. We don't lie to the people.
Right. I screwed that up. That's his own fault. Right. He made his own bed. But yes. You're exactly right. So without further ado, again, the extended conversation will air tomorrow at noon, but this is a preview of Goodman's conversation with Hunter Dickinson and Armando Bacot.
So you guys are both having unbelievable years. I think both in the top 5 in rebounding right now nationally. When you look at the bigs around the country now and you see Zach Edey dominating again, what's it like going against him? Hunter, you've gone against him a little bit more. Why? Why is he so dominant? Like, obviously, and everybody's like, well, he's just big, and he gets every call, and this and that. Like, describe what it's like to play against Zach Edey and his kind of transformation over the years.
Well, I mean, I would say, like, part of the reason why is because he's so strong. Like, you see some big guys and they're not really like you're able to move him easier. And for him, he's just like it's really hard to move him because he's super strong. He's got a really good base, and like they try to say he gets all the calls. You are able to get like the defender is able to get like a little bit more leeway with him with pushing and stuff. I can personally attest to that. Like they let you move him a little bit more and like push him a little bit more. But I would say just the fact that like they're so willing to throw him the ball every possession, and it's like you can't take one possession off. It was kind of similar to like Luke Garza, where you really got to guard him for 30 seconds every play down the floor, because if you slip up a little bit, they're going to throw it to him. And, if he's got an angle, it's pretty much a bucket every time. So I think it's just the fact that you got to really guard him for 30 seconds every possession and be locked in the whole possession.
I would agree 100% too. I think Purdue is like the one team like where like truly like him as a big, the team is completely built around him. And I think Coach Painter does a great job of like, he's just creative with what he does, and he does a lot of like posting Zach Edey up in the middle, so there's really no way you can double team him. And I think like he's really good at doing the simple things. I think that's what makes him so good. Like he's the lead at perfecting the drop step and just doing the simple things.
So we talked a little bit about Mondo and his difference from a year ago till today. Hunter, obviously you were in Ann Arbor. Everybody thought you'd finish there. You had your kind of network in Ann Arbor, which is strong, and you left it. And that was the one thing I was like, man, that's hard to do, right? That's hard to do because you're set up there for the rest of your life. And when you leave that, it's probably gone, right? It's probably gone. Yeah. But obviously you went because you felt like it was the best move for your career, chance to play in the NBA, chance to play for Bill Self, one of the best coaches in the game, especially for bigs. How hard was that decision, first of all, to leave Michigan? Because you're smart enough to know, like, that's one that you'll be able to take advantage of for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it was extremely hard, I would say, to leave. Like with the connections and everything. But I'd say now, like all the connections that I really wanted and the ones that I felt like, like I really knew the people, they're still there. Obviously, but maybe not in the same capacity, but I still talk to them. I would say like the thing that made it the hardest wasn't like, the legacy of, maybe getting my jersey retired or like, all the stats, all the accolades, all the connections. It was probably just leaving Jawan, honestly. That was like the hardest thing. That was like the thing that made me really like kind of try to push it off for like a day or two, was really just, having to tell him face to face that I'm leaving, because like that's really like, that's probably like the closest thing I've had to like another dad was Jawan. Like he like really was like that dude for me. And like when I was in there, like I was bawling my eyes out telling him like I had to leave, because that's just kind of like how I feel about him. And like we still text to this day. And like that's just like, that's a relationship that I hope I always will have in my life, because just the person he is. And so leaving him was super tough, but looking back on it, I do think, that was like the best decision that I could ever made, especially given like the teams I have. Obviously, like maybe, if I would have went to Kentucky, we might have still had like similar success. But
Thank
here,
God, Kentucky, Jesus Christ, that would have been crazy.
Shannon would have liked that.
Oh my God.
But, yeah, Kansas has been super great for me. I've had so much fun here. I feel like almost like a freshman when I got here, because it was so new and everything was so new. And so I think it was like a breath of fresh air, just being in a new situation with new guys, new system, everything. It's been great.
Again, it was nice to see Jeff Goodman working for a change. I know everybody here is just kind of stunned that actually happens, but it does. And the full extended conversation will post tomorrow at noon Eastern time. So good stuff there from Jeff Goodman. All right. It is about that time of the evening, gentlemen, where we give out toasts of the night for individual or team performances, the best of the night in college basketball. RC, you want to start us off?
I'm going to go with South Florida. I think upset of the night, it's Memphis. Right, Coach Raheem, the new staff coming in there, coming from Kennesaw State, just a big win. I'm familiar with people there in the administration and just real supportive of them. I've been high on that that staff before they got there, and big win to those guys. So South Florida.
Yeah, Coach Abdur Rahim is absolutely. I think he's a stud. He's well on his way. There's no question about it. I'm going to give a toast here, Matt, to Tucker Anderson, who is a true freshman in an era where true freshmen simply do not play. A true freshman for Central Arkansas who had 26 points tonight on 60% shooting from three in a win on the road at Lipscomb as a 15-point underdog, mind you, were the Central Arkansas Bears. So toast to Tucker Anderson and the Central Arkansas Bears for going on the road and getting that done as a huge underdog, 15-point underdogs. Shout out to you guys.
You know what? I've been pretty critical of the Pac-12. So I'm going to give a shout out to Utah tonight. 74-47 victory over Oregon State. I've been down on the Pac-12. I got heat the other night on the field of 68 for wanting to pick the Pac-12 as my biggest disappointment when Jeff Goodman wanted me to just single out one coach or one player or one team. And I wanted to single out the whole league because this is the last year of the league, and the league is getting ready to evaporate. They're getting ready to turn the league office into one of those buildings that has nothing in it, and they're going to put a commercial real estate sign for sale on it. And Utah showed up. 74 points, 74-47. Pretty big victory. Give me Utah tonight. Give me the Utes. Cheers to them.
Matt,
now, before we move over,
you got off light tonight. Matt got off light tonight because we didn't talk about FAU. And everybody, let me say this before we go. Everybody don't know this, and we didn't get into this tonight because we had a text chain going, and Matt was talking, and John was talking to Memphis, and Memphis is rolling. FAU is losing, and they talking.
Elijah Martin,
so much trash.
The Owls.
That was like instant karma. That was instant karma. I said, I got the flu, bro. I can't do the show tonight, man. That was
and I actually have the flu. And I thought you were like really sick. I'm like, come on, man, we got to rally, buddy. Take some cough medicine.
I'm
I
sick.
got some cough medicine. Come on, take some cough medicine.
Man, you're battling for sure. So yeah, no, we should have talked about FAU. They're handling business. Memphis did not. I'm glad somebody did in the AAC tonight. That's for sure. We're gonna move over to Stadium. Hop on over there. Join us there. For Randolph Childress, for Matt McCall, I'm John Martin. Thanks for spending a part of your Thursday night with us. We'll be back